I just want to take a quick look at what the ProctorU experience is going to be when you, if and when you take ProctorU quizzes. So here's quiz one, and we're in the fall of 2015 semester when I'm recording this video, but this applies in future semesters. So anyway, here I have the real quiz, and so you're gonna get into your ProctorU environment, and the proctor will do all the tests to make sure that you meet the technical requirements. And once the test officially starts, you'll click this link, and the proctor will then take control of your computer and enter the password. So you're not going to know the password. The proctor will type in something, and the quiz will begin. So that's and you'll have up to 2 hours to complete that quiz. If things are the same as in fall 2015, and of course we'll post that information in any subsequent semesters. Now what I have here is a sample ProctorU quiz, just so you can kind of get a feel for what to expect. So I'm going to click on it, and the sample quiz has some instructions. Now on the real quiz, you're going to have a number of multiple choice problems and then some other long form problems. The multiple choice problems are going to be just that, multiple choice with no partial credit. So there's no need to show any work in the show my work area for the multiple choice. And again, here I think there's 3 of them, but on your real quiz you might have anywhere from 6 to 10 of these short form no partial credit type problems. So let me just take a look at a couple of examples and show you what to expect. So if 2 numbers add up to 34 and the first number is x, the second number, I'll just give you the answer to this, is 34 minus x. And so when you submit the answer, notice you're not going to get any feedback. So it's just going to stare at you. The only visual clue that you're going to have that you submitted the question is the previous answers link will show up. Notice on question 2 it's not there, but on question 1 it is. So you're not going to get any feedback whether you're right or wrong. That's fair, because people who take the test in a testing center have the same lack of feedback. So you're going to go through, and I'm just going to click random choices here. I don't know the real answers. Let me choose this one here, submit it. And again, I submit, and up comes the previous answers link. Again, I don't know what the answer is. I'll just submit. And again, no feedback, but also for the multiple choice, no showing your work. Now, let's number 4, solve this inequality. So here's a situation where you might have some work, and so it's 6 minus 4x is greater than 12. So let me kind of scroll forward here. I've already done some work for other problems, but let me just start here. And so normally what you would do is you would go and do 6 minus 4x is greater than 12, and you might subtract 6 from both sides, and you get negative 4x is greater than 6, and then you have to divide through by a negative 4. And remember, when you're working with an inequality, you're switching the greater than to a less than, so it's going to be x is less than 6 over negative 4, which is negative 1.5, right? So x is going to be less than negative 1.5. And so, you would answer the question, so a less than symbol and a negative 1.5. And I think it's pretty apparent what you're doing up here. And then for the graphing thing, again, it's an open circle if we are not including the value. And then you also have to do I think it's the arrow, and you're going in the correct direction. And so here we have a perfect, or what I think is the correct answer for this problem. Now, on the problems that are long form, you do need to show some work. So go back to my, back to here. What are some good steps? Well, in the show your work area, I wish I could show both of these at the same time. Maybe I can resize this window a little bit. Yeah, I can do that. Okay, so what would be some good work to show? Well, you let's see, where do we go? We go up here, and you can insert mathematical type if you'd like, but really you don't need it here. So what steps would you show? Well, certainly you'd show negative 4x is greater than 6, right? That's this step right here. That's a reasonable step to show. And then what you probably should do here is you probably should say divide by a negative. So you can type in words, switch the less than or the greater than to less than. Certainly that's reasonable. And then x is less than negative 1.5. That's perfect amount of work to show. You don't have to show every single step, but just kind of demonstrate that your thought process through the problem. So that took me less than a minute to do that. And now I can submit my answer. And what it allows me to do as an instructor when I'm grading this is even if you didn't get everything perfectly correct up here, I can still give you partial credit. So that's the purpose. And also, it sort of demonstrates your thinking through a problem. So if you just magically come up with the right answer, I wouldn't be satisfied. So I would want to show some steps. So here again, here's a literal equation. What steps would you show? Maybe you'd show that you distributed a minus 6 to the x and a minus 6 to the 1. So show that result, which would be, you could do 7xy minus 6x plus 6 equals, right, 8 plus 3xy. And then you would normally, I think you would subtract the 3xy from both sides. So you don't have to show that process, but you just can show the result. If you subtract 3xy from both sides, the 7xy minus the 3xy would give you 4xy, right? And if you were to add the, let's see, this is supposed to be a plus, right? Not an equal sign. So if you were to add the 6x and the 6 to the other side, you could just show what the result is. And I'll let you work through the details, but it would end up being 2 plus 6x. All right, check my work on that, but I believe that's the case. It would be a 2. 8 minus 6 is 2. Add 6x to both sides. All right, so you'd get that. And then your final answer would be you divide both sides by 4x. So y would equal 2 plus 6x over 4x. And use parentheses liberally, especially if you have fractions. And again, you could use mathematical symbols here, but why not just do it straight in text? And so your final answer is, 2 plus 6x all divided by 4x. Fair enough. And that's a perfectly acceptable answer for that. All right, so do the same with, show a few steps for number 6. For number 7, I did the work for number 7 already. It's up here. So what would your process be for this? Well, you'd find the LCD and you'd multiply each term or each fraction by the LCD. So 10, 10, 10, and do some cancellation. So maybe show this step in your show your work, and maybe show this step, and then you have your final answer. So really, 2 or 3 steps is all you really need to show, because that'll demonstrate that what your work is, the intermediate steps, and make sure you put your answer, which is -1. At least I think it's -1. Of course, you can check your work, make sure my work is correct. And then finally, for number 8, same idea. You would normally show, I would say on a written test, you would show at least this information for the problem. So again, how would you translate that? Well, certainly you could do something like, plane 1, rate equals x, and time equals 1.5. Plane 2, rate equals x plus 180, and time equals 1.5. And then definitely show your basic equation right there. So, type that in. And then, you decide based on how much time you have left, how much work to show. But again, it looks like, based on this, again, assuming I did things correctly, the slower plane appears to be going 400 miles an hour, and the faster plane appears to be going 180 miles an hour faster than that, 580. And so, show the 1.5, clearly show definitely show the equation, and then show at least one step in between the equation and the final answer in your show your work. Okay, so again, the common thread is 2, 3, maybe 4 lines in your show my work, and that's that's really it. For the graph, what work would you show? Well, again, depending on how you do the problem, the show your work might be, well, the slope is -3/2, which, so you could type in which means down 3/2, and y-intercept is -3, and that I think is enough, because now you have a kind of a guideline. You can go and graph your equation. So you get your graphing tool, you start at -3, down 3/2, down 3/2, and you've got your graph. And again, don't forget to submit your work and your assignment. Every time you submit your work, it will submit all of the problems that you've typed in data for to that point. All right, and you'll see previous answers. So as a final visual check for your assignment, make sure all of the questions have previous answers listed. That means you've at least put in one answer, and if not, make sure you do the problem. And again, you have 2 hours, and hopefully this is sort of a satisfactory introduction to what my expectations for you are when you're doing a WebAssign quiz through ProctorU. All right, well, good luck on your quizzes.